Welcome to the Brand Clarity Podcast, hosted by Visions to Images and Susie Libertor. The Brand Clarity Podcast highlights several different topics, including entrepreneurship, franchises, and digital marketing trends. Visions to Images helps corporations and franchises with their branding, website, paid advertising, and digital marketing. Hello, everybody. Today on the podcast, I have Loana and she's with TeaCupFuls. I'm super excited to have her on. She's a woman-owned franchisor, so it's exciting to have some diversity in that field. So welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So before we kind of dive into some women questions and strategy behind all of that, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and how you got started, all that.
Well, I'm a mom of four. I've been married for 15 years, and my husband and I have always kind of worked together and had the drive for work. So we started in our little small business about 12 years ago. It was a commercial cleaning business. And then currently about 5 years ago, we decided to start TeaCupFuls, which it's crazy. We basically went from cleaning toilets all the time to making tea, but we wanted to try something different. So I've always loved business and what comes with it. And so that's kind of how TeaCupFuls was born.
Awesome. And so tell us about the company in itself.
So TeaCupFuls is a boba tea shop. We're not your ordinary cup of tea. So you can come in and get a basic tea, green tea with boba or, mango jellies or something like that. But we also like to top our drinks with cotton candy, Pocky, and sucker. So we're really a place of celebration. So a lot of the times people like to come after a basketball game or to celebrate birthdays and get these over the top drinks that are just, a bunch of fun. We have drinks that we call like a mermaid or a unicorn, and just something that kind of puts you beside yourself, and it's a little bit over the top.
I love it. Amazing. Okay, so you're a women-owned business and you're a franchisor, and I feel like the franchise industry is very male-dominant. Obviously, women is growing around us. Like there's more and more women getting into business, more and more women getting into the franchise industry. So what kind of factors impact a woman's ability to lead others?
Well, I actually think there's a lot of things. I'm sure you've heard before, gender bias, stereotypes. There's all kinds of things that play against us. And then, of course, there's less female leaders in the industry as there is. So it's very difficult for somebody to want to go after that promotion or go after something else when they haven't seen another woman, do it before. Mm-hmm. And so another thing for me personally is our family lives. Who's going to take, the kids to school? Who's making dinner? Who's paying the bills? So there's a lot of factors that go into it, I think, that a lot of people don't realize, unless they are women and already dealing with the situation themselves. And so it can be difficult.
Right. Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. There's a lot of stereotype. And I think I was talking to somebody recently and they said, or maybe it was an article, that a woman walks in and asks for a promotion for a job, and then and they get declined. And then a male walks in for that same position and gets an increase in that position, right? So there's all of these stereotypes and problems that women are facing daily, whether we know it or not. And I think that it's so important as a women entrepreneurs to keep spreading that awareness and growth to everybody to help create a better economy and a better lifestyle for everybody.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I've had it happen to myself. One of my past jobs, I was put into a lead position and I didn't get the raise like other people. It took forever. And finally I had to kind of hound my boss, if you will. And I was like, hey, I was just kind of wondering, and I was younger, so I was a little bit scared to ask him, but I was like, am I going to get paid what everybody else is getting paid? Like, can I get a raise? And he's like, well, you're definitely being considered for it. And I was like, okay, I hope so, because I'm kind of doing the same thing as everyone else right now.
Right. And
it was definitely a male dominant industry. I was doing security. And so it was a little rough and intimidating, but
absolutely. Well, and it's funny how they say considered, right? Like, oh, we'll consider it, but that doesn't mean yes or no. So you can't really justify it. It's a play on words, right? So they can manipulate the situation. So what are the benefits to having women in a leadership role?
Well, I think there's a lot of benefits actually. Encouraging other women to go after that promotion, like we are just talking about, to step up and do something that they want to do, letting women have a voice and a say in things, I think is very important. We look at things differently than a man does by far. I'm not saying that everything that we say and we do is right, but we have our own voice and our own opinion and our own way to think about things. And then, for me personally, I would love to encourage my kids. I want my kids to say, hey, mom's doing it. Mom can do it. I can do it too, especially for my daughters. And so I think that that's a huge thing. And wanting to encourage other women, your children and things, and show them that as women, we can do the same thing as a man.
Yes, I love it. I literally just told somebody that the other day. In a little bit, a quick story is I'm a single mom and I have an autistic child. So like, I'm always like, I don't need a man. I can do everything a man can do. And then some, like, I don't need that. Of course I would want it, but like, I'm good with where I'm at. And my goal, I have a son, but my goal is always to show him that women can do anything and you need to respect them and love them and not downplay them, etc. Right? Like all of those stereotypes that we're talking about, like women can get promotions, women can be in business, right? And so I always have that example being led for him. I'm a business owner, but I'm also mommy. I can always give him that perspective. So what are the ways that you stay grounded and take care of yourself? Obviously, as a mom and a business owner and all of the hats that you wear, it's hard to balance. I know that personally. So how do you take care of that stuff?
Well, that's kind of a hard question because the taking care of yourself part, I'm still trying to figure that out. I've come to find out over the years that the gym is one of the biggest things that helps me personally. I get super stressed out or I just can't clear my mind. I can't shut it off. So I hit the gym, obviously, fitness is great, but it also helps relieve some of that stress and clear my mind. I'm only thinking about, the weights that I'm lifting and the things that I'm doing at that time instead of about the kids or work or the employees and stuff like that. So for me, that helps a lot. And then I would like to say, like, staying grounded. I always tell myself, I'm going to strive to be the best that I can be, but there's always going to be somebody better. There's always somebody who can do something better than I can. There's always things that I can learn and improve. And so I just tell myself that, keep hustling, keep working, and don't get a big head, essentially, because like I said, there is somebody out there who can do better than I can. Even if I think I'm the best at something, there's somebody better. So I can constantly learn and strive to do more.
Yeah. And so I've gone through business coaching, tons and tons of different things, right? And so mindset is huge as an entrepreneur because for women, we get so tied up in emotions, and I'm sure you can relate, is like, oh, that customer was so mad. What did I do wrong? What did you know what I mean? Oh, that client canceled their contract. Why? They didn't close with me. Why? Right? Like all these questions build up in our head, and then we start to self-doubt ourselves. At least that's what happened for me. And then you got a kid that's in school who maybe isn't doing well or whatever. And you're like, am I not giving him enough attention? All these little pieces is what kind of overplays for women, definitely. And for a very long time, I don't want to say I doubted myself and I put myself down because I know my worth, but I also would overthink all of these things. And so I started to go back to therapy, and it kind of helped me open up some of those barriers. And I too go to the gym as well. And I mean, at first I wanted to go back to be fit and all of that, but what I realized was it gave me that energy and that push aside, like you're talking about, like your mind is so different after you work out.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey there, I want to interrupt this episode with a quick message. If you're listening to this podcast episode and want to learn about branding your franchise or small business, then go to brandingbridge.com. That's branding-bridge.com.
So how long have you been in business?
I've been a small business owner for 12 years, but we just franchised TeaCupFuls about 9 months ago, and I started TeaCupFuls in 2017.
So what has been your biggest ROI?
Well, that's kind of funny, actually. So a couple months ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, and, I sold my cleaning company last year about the same time I franchised TeaCupFuls. So I came into some money, and I was asking him, I was like, look, what should I do with this? Should I put it into 401k, mutual funds, ETFs? Like what buy a CD. What do you think I should do? And, he was a financial advisor and whatnot. And he told me, honestly, I think your biggest return on investment is you. And I would gamble on yourself and put the money into something that you're wanting to do. At first, I was kind of taken back and I was like, okay, that's not really what I was asking. I was kind of, what should I really do with this money? I need to know. And he's like, no, seriously, if you take a step back and look at how hard you're working, and put your best foot forward, I definitely think that you can turn this into more, just like you did with the first, company. And so I got to thinking about it and I was like, you know what? You're right. And I was kind of humbled by the situation, but essentially I've taken that money and I'm putting it into TeaCupFuls and I'm taking the gamble on this franchise situation. But if you want to get technical and get to numbers, the actual biggest return on investment is, my cleaning company that I did just sell.
What do you think as far as like the franchise? And I know you're fairly new at the franchise for 9 months, but what would you say has been your biggest return on investment?
I feel like that's something we're still trying to figure out. We've talked to a lot of people and we've done a lot of things already. And I think it's too soon to really answer that.
So what have you done to market your business and what have you found to be successful?
So there are a lot of things that I've done to try to market my business. One thing I try to do is I try to follow the trends. What is my audience looking for? What are the people who are coming into the stores talking about? What's the biggest thing? So for me, back in the day, we went from like MySpace and now there was Facebook, Instagram, TikTok is now the newest thing. So I'm always constantly trying to keep up with the trends and what's going on. Our audience is a little bit younger. So I typically try to watch and see what my teenagers are doing, and they're all about TikTok right now and things like that. So we're constantly trying to stay up and follow the trends, make the videos and be creative essentially. With my other company, it was different. It was different things, like we were trying to get on Google and get reviews and things. And so I think a lot of it has to do with what kind of industry you're in as to what kind of networking you're looking for and things like that. For us, I think social media plays a huge part.
I think social media is a huge component to any business, right? So we have to have some type of presence and grow that organically and in paid advertising to some extent. And there's so many components now to social media, like you were just talking about, like TikTok, right? And now and if you're doing franchisees, like marketing to people, there's LinkedIn, and of course there's AI now, and there's just so much stuff happening. And it seems like every so often, like every couple of years or so, new things are evolving and changing. I remember when I was just starting off in the marketing agency and Facebook was like just kind of like taking a peek. And then like Instagram and Twitter and like all of that kind of started to happen. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then off came more, right? And so there's always that adapting and changing and overcoming. And even with the trends, like Facebook and Instagram are always changing their algorithms, and Google has their own algorithm, right? Everybody has their own way of doing things, and they're always changing features and changing this. Like Instagram is changing, like you can have 4 or 5 links now in your profile. And I'm like, why didn't you do this years ago? But years ago, it didn't matter, right? So all of these little pieces, and now TikTok is like trying to start to do more ads and all of this. So it also goes back to what you're saying. You need to know your audience. There are some people who are like not on TikTok for your audience. I always tell people, you don't need to be on every platform, and you need to be where your audience is and talk about the pain points. Or be fun or have that personality, right? Like every business is so unique in that sense. And that's kind of what can differentiate you. You don't need to be on every platform ever, but also we got to think beyond that as well. Like, are we doing email campaigns? Are we doing direct mail? Are we getting involved in the community? Like tons of other things do matter on top of that, like your website, SEO, blog posts, right? So it's so much more than that little bubble of social media, but social media is powerful in that sense.
Right.
Awesome. If there is a woman who is trying to become a franchisor or kind of looking to become a franchisee, what advice would you give her?
I would tell them not to quit. Honestly, I know it sounds cliche, but there are so many hurdles that you're going to come across. And if it's something that you're really wanting to do, I would just keep going with it. in the end, it's going to pay off. There are so many bumps in the road, but if it's something, like I said, if it's something you want to do, just keep going. Believe in yourself.
Yes. I've realized that more and more. Believe in yourself, take care of yourself, protect yourself, do all the things for you, because at the end of the day, you matter the most. I mean, yeah, you have a husband, you have kids, all that other fun stuff, but like you have to take care and be happy with yourself and push yourself to do your goals and everything that you desire.
Yeah, I agree.
So if somebody's looking to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
Well, we have lots of different ways to do that. They can shoot us an email at teacupfulscorporate@gmail.com or call our office 541-668-6082. There's lots of things. Reach out to us on social media. We're constantly always following up with messages and checking our emails and website and things like that. So
perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody, for listening in on today's Brand Clarity episode with Susie Liberatore. 2 things. First and foremost, please, if you liked this episode, please subscribe and leave some positive reviews. Also, don't forget to sign up for Stop Sending Your Customers to the Competition and get my insider secrets to compelling branding that converts. You can find that at branding-bridge.com. It's a free workbook for you to check out right now, all of the branding techniques and strategies that I use for my paying clients.